Get it out for Mr. I let you.
Hey, get in here. Dallas is about to start.
Welcome to another edition of the Ewing Barbecue Podcast. We have been off the air a little while, and we continue to be off the air with new episodes for the Rewatch Podcast due to Mary dealing with her situation and some other stuff going on. But it's not preventing us from having on some special guests, and we have been hearing about this person lately through social media, and it's a good opportunity to get to know this person, Martin O'Brien, who is a filmmaker that is also a friend of Larry Hagman's. And on behalf of our producer Mary and co-hosts Sarah Price, Brad Mulholland, Melanie Joy, Jana Tim, and Will Kane, our European consultant. Welcome, Martin, to the Ewing Barbecue Podcast.
Thanks very much, Josh. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. Thank you, sir.
Yes. So you've been posting lately about a project coming in that you're going to be working on involving Larry Hagman. And before we go into it, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you met Larry and what your connection is.
Thanks for the question, Josh. I met Larry in San Antonio, Texas in the beginning of 2007. I was there with Daryl Hannah, and we were screening our film called Freedom Fuels, which is on American independence from foreign oil. It was about biofuels, biodiesel, ethanol, and veggie oil. And the National Biodiesel Board asked me to film Larry in a Volkswagen Touareg. At the time, there wasn't a lot of personal diesel vehicles around, and the National Biodiesel Convention had got hold of one of these, and it had never seen a drop of regular diesel. They had it straight from the factory. And so I filmed Larry and his wife. I sat in the front, Larry did the driving, and we just got on really well. And then later that night, I was doing some more filming for the convention at the Merle Haggard concert. And I was backstage, and who did I run into? Larry. And he remembered me earlier in the day, which I thought was impressive. And he asked
He's good
me,
with remembering people, isn't he?
He is. And he asked me how old I was, and I said at the time I was 44. And he went, "What a great age." And I was like, I'm thinking I'm getting old here, but like he was just so personable, and we hit it off, and that's how I met Larry.
And so are you involved in the film as you make films or projects?
I'm a filmmaker. I've been making documentaries for about 20 years now.
Okay. Well, and what are some of the ones that you've done that people might have seen?
The first one I made, which is another reason that Larry and I gelled, was about medical marijuana. I made that in 2004, 2005. And then I made another one, what I just mentioned, called Freedom Fuels. I made one on the return of the grey wolf to the Yellowstone region. And I made one about Chevron's nefarious activities in the Ecuadorian rainforest. They're the documentaries and I made another one there recently, which actually went to #1 on Apple TV. It took a long time to make this one, but it was on the early days of the rave scene, the dance music scene in San Francisco in the 90s. So they're the ones I've made up to now.
So certainly a wide range of topics there, from raves to the marijuana industry to the fuels and everything. Larry's Omri Katz, who played Larry's son on Dallas for 8 years, he is actually in the cannabis industry now out in California, and did a podcast with him about the marijuana industry a while back. So why Larry?
I guess we reconnected in LA at his penthouse in Santa Monica. He called me up. Ed Begley was the one who made the further connection. I didn't ask him or didn't either want to or think of asking him for his contact information when I met him first. Thought I was not a fan. And Ed said, you and Larry should hang out. So Ed made the connection. Larry called me up. I was in NILA at the time. And he's like, come over at 4 o'clock, young man. So he gave me the address and I was there right on the button at 4 o'clock. Came downstairs. And then first thing he did was he came out in his pajamas out of his bedroom. And he pulled down his pajama pants a little bit and said, young man, can you help me put this pain patch on? And I was used to taking care of my dad, who had just recently passed. And I'm like, of course I can, man. Of course I can. So put the pain patch on him, and he went off into the bedroom, changed, came back out, offered me a drink. We had a drink. And he asked me, so what was your first film about? I'm like, medical marijuana. There wasn't even a beat. He said, do you have any?
And it was probably about 4:20 at the time too, wasn't it?
You know something? I never thought about that before. So when he goes out, I said, I do. I've got some in the car. And he said, off you go then and go get it. So I went off and got it, and that was what our relationship was. Like, we'd go for dinner, smoke some weed, talk about life. And, it's like he never boasted. He never said, oh, do you know I'm J.R. Ewing? Or do you know I did this? Or do you know I did that? Or he just never talked about himself at all. He was always so present in my company. There was no airs of graces. There was no, unfocused, Hollywood star hopping around the place. He was just present in your company at all times. And so that impressed me. And at the time we were writing a couple of scripts. One was on greenwashing and one was on, which is basically someone like Chevron or Shell presenting themselves as an environmental company, where it's the last thing they possibly are. And one was about the plastics in the ocean. So I asked Larry if he would read the scripts, and he read them. And he said, I'll be in either one of them for you, no problem. And I'm like, I'll offer you the SAG rate, which was 80 grand or something like that. And he went, no, don't be ridiculous, young man, because I'm not going to take any money from you. I'll do it to help, Mm-hmm. And then, but the only thing he ever talked about himself was that movie, The Return of the Blob, that he directed, and he said how well it had done for him and that how he loves to support young filmmakers, and he would do anything at all he could to support me. So I try not to forget when people are kind to me when they don't have to be. And Larry was one of those people. So it's been a long time, obviously, since he passed. And my last film came out there just about a year ago. And so a few months ago, I kept thinking about him. And I saw a podcast funny enough, I saw a podcast about him where he was talking about his use of psychedelic therapy and how he felt about that. And I thought that was because he never talked about that. And so I thought that was quite fascinating. And it got the spark. That was the spark for me. I started learning more and more and more about him, like the transplant games. He was a host for 16 years. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but he's just a very impressive character. And then I said, okay, I better check my facts here. I'll look up. And I couldn't believe it that there wasn't a documentary already made about Larry. I just couldn't believe it. And then so Ed got me in touch with Christina, his daughter. And then Christina got me in touch with Preston, the son, and got permission from them, exclusive permission to make the documentary. They've been very supportive, and I've been digging away and digging in and developing and moving closer to pre-production here.
Right. And for listeners out there that are familiar, Ed is Ed Begley Jr. from St. Elsewhere.
Yes.
How did they know? How did they know each other?
through a thing called SELF, the Solar Electric Light Fund, which was one of the early organizations to help promote solar. And Larry's place in Ojai, at one stage, he had the biggest personal solar farm in the country, like way before anyone else. He was a very on the quiet, subtly. He was he was an eco-social activist at a core, really.
Okay. And he also had a very large avocado farm too up there.
He did. That was a magnificent out of heaven, I guess. It's like I'd never actually got to go there. I always hung out with him, and so he invited me a few times, but I just couldn't make it. But amazing. Yeah.
I had heard stories that he would go around the neighborhood trying to unload the avocados, and people it got to be a running joke where people would be like, "Oh God, Larry's coming with the avocados. Let's pretend we're not home."
Yeah.
So
anyone would pretend they're not home if Larry Hagman's calling on your door, like, but
right, Larry, you can come over. I don't eat avocados, but you can come over anytime you want.
anytime you want.
In fact, bring me some edibles too. No. So talk about what your vision is with the structure of the documentary. I know you listed off some of the people that are participating in here, and I've before we connected, when I saw the first messages posted, I contacted some of those people to say, okay, is this a thing? Is it happening? What's going on? And James Yarnell is involved, who actually did this. He was a production assistant on one of the Dallas reunions, and then most recently he did in August the set pieces for the South Fork Experience, which took place in Dallas. So I had a chance to quickly chat with him about you and your involvement and everything, and I guess talk about that.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of people. James is just one of those, another fascinating story that James was a young lad traveling in America. He's from England originally, and then he got a job as a production assistant in Dallas early in one of those series. And then turns out he was Larry's personal assistant. He worked for 6 weeks on it. And then Larry said, "So what's next for you, young man?" And he said, I'm going to go to Australia and travel. He said, "Why would you want to do that? Don't you want to be in the film business?" He said, "Of course I do." And he said, "You're good at it." He goes, "You could do really well." He said, "But I don't have the paperwork to stay legally in the country." And Larry said, "I'll sponsor your green card."
Oh.
And so Larry sponsored his green card, and then he went on to win. He's been nominated for Emmys 11 times. He's won a bunch of awards, and he won an Emmy for American Idol, and he's been nominated for that Dick Van Dyke special a couple of years ago. And now he works on Dancing with Stars. Right. So he's one of the people. We have Linda Gray, who's an absolutely lovely lady. Absolutely.
Just turned 80. Just turned 85.
Yep.
You wouldn't know that, would you?
You would not think that. Patrick Duffy was a very impressive individual. I just spoke to him just at one time, half an hour or something like that, but he's on board. We have Ed Begley Jr., Charlene Tilton, Kathy Podwell. We have the vice president of the National Kidney Foundation, because Larry supported them for a long time at the U.S. Transplant Games.
And he's Anthony, how do you pronounce his last name? Gutierdo, okay. And I was just talking with Josh Henderson, who's you have listed here.
Yeah.
And
Josh.
And Lisa Blue. I have not heard of Lisa Blue.
Lisa Barron Blue, her name is. She's a very impressive lady. She's an attorney. Her and Larry were very close. She calls Larry her soulmate. Quite a few years towards the end of his life. In fact, the Larry Hagman Foundation for kids that need to go to school that don't have the money. her and Larry started that together. They did a bunch of traveling together. There's another person that's involved. We also have Rick Doblin. He's the founder of MAPS. MAPS is an acronym for Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Research. Larry was a huge proponent of working with them. In fact, when I asked Rick about Larry, he said Larry was probably one of the biggest influences in helping MAPS grow. At one point, Larry sued his, side note, you can edit it out if you want, but Larry sued his financial management company and won. And he got a $10 million settlement penalty, which eventually was taken away under appeal. But at the time, the first $1 million he was going to give away of that $10 million was to MAPS. And he wrote this staggering letter to like Hawaii supporting MAPS and how influential it is. And if you've seen our crowdfunding video, it shows in there when Larry's been interviewed, Larry's opinion was that all of our politicians should do psychedelics at least once, And
a little
big of that.
Yeah. And a little trivia note, when Larry passed on November 23rd of 2012, it was actually supposedly 4:20 in the afternoon when he passed. Only Larry would have planned that, wouldn't he?
I think I was going, he asked me when I was born. I told him, and he was, "What time were you born?" I was born at 4:20 a.m. So I think cannabis is a great common denominator. One of the like music and so on and so forth, at least in my mind. So we have a whole host of very wonderful people already attached to the firm and looking to connect to more. Apparently, Woody Harrelson's mother and Larry had a connection. Willie Nelson and Larry had a connection through hemp activism. Mary Crosby, who was on the Dallas show early, Bing Crosby's daughter. We're trying to get in touch with her. Some of these people are hard to get in touch with.
Yes, we've been looking for Mary to join us on the podcast for a while, and they've been looking for her to get to the South Fork experience. So if you find her, let us know, because we'd love to pass her along to the organizers of that event. So it seems like you're really covering your bases here. What do you want people to get out of this project?
The vast majority of the people in the world, Dallas itself was translated into 90 languages. I Dream a Genie into 40 or so. The vast majority of people either know Larry as Major Nelson or J.R. Ewing. And that's what they know him as. And that's it. And misunderstood that maybe that he had a drink problem and that's it. For the majority, not people like yourself and other, I'm not saying everyone, but the vast majority. And I want people to know that Larry was way more than his iconic roles. He was a visionary, a lover of laughter, a lover of family, of people, of life. He was a fierce advocate for organ donation. He was an eco-social activist. I mean, the list goes on. And I want people to know that side of Larry.
Right. And Larry had a lot of unique characteristics, not talking on Sundays and the parades on the beaches in Malibu. And I know when I was sitting at a table with him in 2012, 5 months before he passed, we were having dinner. He talked about how he used to do acid with the drummer from The Who, Keith Moon, and just these when they were neighbors, and just a lot of Larry certainly lived life, and it was a wonderful opportunity and anytime he came around, it was just, I know his stars and friends always thought it was like just a party, just a ray of light coming into their lives and stuff like that. But you said there's a crowdfunding video. I know the podcast doesn't take any positions on fundraisers and that sort of thing, just out of some experiences that have happened in the past with people, events and money and where things are going and stuff like that. So I will let you speak to the fundraising, but podcast won't take a position, but we will let you get the word out there. So
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you did some background checks on me before you allowed me to come on your show, which I respect and appreciate. And
and I know the others co-hosts wanted to join us and ask some questions, but their schedules have prohibited them. So this was definitely on their list of. So I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, we're in the process of raising the money. We're a multifaceted approach. We've sent an email off to Apple to see if they're interested in it being an Apple exclusive. We've sent some emails off to some very hefty film people, investors. We've got a grant approach. We're individual wealthy people to be executive producers. And we're also doing a crowdfunding approach.
Right.
Crowdfunding is the non-profit aspect that we have. The aspect, not the total aspect of the film, but it's it's a multifaceted approach to raising the money in a time where films are difficult to fund. So I'm going to get it done no matter what.
Right.
No matter
right.
what, I'm going to make it happen. It's just trying to get it done, and I'm used to this. I'm used to digging in and finding the money and getting the job done.
Right. And a lot of fans don't know what goes into that sort of thing, and they get skeptical and that sort of thing. So I can completely understand that. And is this normal in this day and age for projects to do crowdsourcing and reaching out for grants? And
approach, the combination approach is something that we've taken for a long time. The initial films I paid for all myself. The last one, the one on the rave scene, that's what we did. We had individual investors and crowdfunding, and we got some grant money.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's the approach we've had that was successful in the past. So, taking a wide approach to it to facilitate its success.
Well, okay. Yes, and I know holidays are coming up, so people are going to be directing things else. What is your time frame for trying to push through this project and get things? Then I know James said you were. I think he mentioned that you might be talking to Barbara Eden this week or sometime.
I should have said that earlier. We've secured Barbara Eden. She's going to be involved. She's the first interview that we want to do. As soon as we just get enough money for a one-day shoot, she's 100% agreed through our management to come on board. So that'll be the first thing we do. And then we'll do a larger production where there'll probably be about 20 people to interview. Some of the locations are expensive. Crews are expensive. There's a lot of resources needed to go into filming such an epic film about an iconic man. For example, the studios in Studio City, where Dallas was filmed for a long time. James went to see them a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And looks like we're trying to get access to the same actual studio to film. Depends on what's available at the time. But our timeline is we're hoping to do production in the spring next year, sometime March or April, something like that. I'll take about 2 months, 6 weeks, 2 months. And then we'll go into post-production, which is editing, securing all the rights to the different TV clips or TV short clips, music supervision. We've got a couple of people in mind to be the music supervisors. A lot of those aspects of it. And then the editing, of course, that's Robbie Proctor is my partner. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best documentary editor in the world. and he knew Larry and is very excited about this project. So that'll take 5 months, 4 to 6 months to get all that done. The rights will be complicated. They'll be expensive to get all the rights for global use. And then we'll enter film festivals, the biggest ones we can find: Cannes, Sundance, South by Southwest, obviously, since it's in Texas.
Yeah.
And then try to win awards. The more awards we can win, the more of a attractive package we are, and the more of a global reach we can get. That would include South America, anywhere at all where Dallas was seen. Italy was huge, England and Ireland. I mean,
Europe, obviously, yes.
Yes.
And it sounds like you hope to move. Hopefully, you move a lot quicker than it takes to get a season of Stranger Things out on Netflix, because they seem to be taking forever between seasons. But
it's a different time for filmmaking, you know. And there's
absolutely, especially with things going on in the country and money being very tight for a lot of people and stuff. So you are approaching companies and corporations and grants and that sort of thing,
and individuals as well, individual investors.
Right. And again, we like to let you speak to that, but we don't take a position on asking people for money. So we just put it out there and see where it goes and stuff like that. When you spoke to Larry's family, did they indicate any Preston and Christina, or some people know her as Heidi, but Christina, did they give any indication of what they wanted to see in this? Or
they trust me. They passed the reins over to me. They're excited to see what I do with it.
Is it?
They're going to be both in the film as well and interviewed for the film, of course.
And as it goes along and you get closer to releases and stuff, maybe we can bring you back, and some of maybe Preston or Christina would come on, or some of the people you're interviewing, Kathy, Charlene, Linda, Pat, any of those people might. Maybe Ed Begley Jr. could.
Yeah, most of those people have already agreed to do publicity in whatever form that they need to do. Maybe when we're shooting in LA, you and your team can come out and we can do a podcast live from where we're filming.
That would be nice. Any excuse to get to California, as long as there are no fires or earthquakes going on, we should be good. But
I think there's probably enough fires in California now at this stage.
I know it's devastating. But
Sure.
Are there any other messages you want to get across to people out there this is your platform right now, just to speak to this before we wind down with this particular?
I think that we've got a great team. We've got James Yarnell as the production designer, Robbie Proctor as the editor, Ed Begley Jr. as a producer and director and producer. We have a great team. We've got a lot of experience. A lot of our films have done really well. In fact, a lot of our films we've given away for free, and they're being used as curriculums in schools and universities still to this day across the country. So I guess all I can do is say, you can trust us, and but the proof's in the pudding, and we're going to work hard and release the best documentary we can to honor Larry's legacy. And if you feel like joining us in any capacity, then feel free to do so. If not, then that's completely okay too.
Right, and you will get it funded either way. So there obviously is no pressure on the individuals that are living day to day here to jump on board, but if they feel like That's up to the individual, but you're going to approach
Absolutely.
corporations and grants and stuff like that. So you're just throwing the net out there, as it were, to pull in whatever you can.
Casting a wide net is very well said.
Exactly. We're obviously going to look forward to seeing how things progress going forward. It should be a very interesting project to see develop over time. And perhaps at the end, I'll have you send me some links to some of the other documentaries and just more information that I can put up there and post so people can.
Yeah, the website's pretty easy. It's MoFilms, MoFilms, MoFilms.org, and a lot of the films are up there for free that you can watch. I guess one thing I should say as well is that Larry loved filming.
Yes.
And he had a Super 8 camera for many years, and he had a Cinemax camera after that. And we've got that's a treasure trove of never before seen, personally shot by Larry footage, and we've got all of that footage that we'll be editing into the film.
And these could include home movies or trips with his motorcycle groups and maybe Burning Man or whatever he.
As as he did a lot of filming behind the scenes at I Dream of Jeannie and in Dallas. So there's a lot of that behind the scenes stuff as well that no one's ever seen before. That'll be incorporated into our film.
And this goes beyond the blooper reels that are on YouTube, so stay tuned for some of that. Well, this certainly has been educational, and I know people have been asking. I definitely had some people messaging me last week going, what do you know about it? What do you hear? So it's great to have you come in and actually give us the scoop, and people will be certainly excited to see this when it actually comes out, and we'll definitely keep tabs, keep in touch, and see what we can do just for having you back on, having some of the others involved back on as it gets closer to completion and release and stuff like that. So any last words that you want to?
No, just thanks very much for having me on, and it was an honor in my life to know Larry, and we're going to do everything we can to do the best job we can to get the real story about Larry Hagman out to the world.
And while you're waiting for that, if you want, you can always pick up Larry's biography on Amazon too, that he had written years back, just to remember his life. And I think his daughter Christina has a book out too about Larry.
Yeah.
So that's some good reading material to tide everybody over until this hits the screens or festivals and stuff like that. So again, thank you for joining us on this special edition, a DOA, as it were, edition. That's Daughters of the Alamo, not Dead on Arrival. We like to pull names and references from Dallas in the podcast. So, and we'll be doing some more of these while we wait to resume our regular rewatch episodes. We are still in season 7 right now, waiting for, I think our last one we recorded was JR had just found out that Peter and Sue Ellen were hitting the sheets. So watch out, Peter Richards, and we will see you on more episodes. Mary is looking to get forward to getting back. Brad, Melanie, Sarah, Janet, Tim may be joining us for some upcoming episodes with some of the Dallas socialites that were big down in the Dallas area. And we always welcome Will Kane, our European consultant and ambassador to the podcast. And stay tuned. So y'all come back now, you hear?